Hi, Keith here from Academy of Bass. Thanks for joining me. Today I'm looking at some really easy ways to help you start playing melodies on bass. But playing melodically isn't just for solos and lead lines. Melodic bass lines sound awesome too, and that's part of the reason why so many iconic bass lines and riffs are so memorable and we can sing them, because they're tuneful. If you're completely new to this, I hope this lesson gives you the confidence and the tools that you need to start experimenting with melody in your playing. Now, there are a couple of technical things that it would be handy for you to know, such as a major scale and a major pentatonic scale, and also a major chord arpeggio. But they're all in the free PDF workbook for this lesson, as are the bass lines that I'm going to be playing fully notated in both standard notation and tab, and I'm going to be using a handful of backing tracks throughout this lesson, so I've included those as part of the download too. You'll find the link to that in the description below. And as a shameless plug, please feel free to support the channel by subscribing. I'm going to start by playing just three notes, G, A and B. From this B I'm going to come back down to A, and from A I'm going to come back down to G. I'm playing over a G major chord, and those three notes are just the first three notes in a G major scale or a G major pentatonic scale. Of course rhythm's important too, but for now if you play these three notes in any sequence that sounds good to you, they're going to fit perfectly. So let's have a listen to how they sound. So this is G. I'm going to play in a different position. Now the chord's changing to C, so the notes are C, D and E. Different position again. Now it's back to G. And even in the lower positions, this sounds really melodic. C again. And C again to finish off. Now I'm going to play it like more of a bass line. And C. Now I'm going to combine them. Those three notes sounded really nice, and in every position that I played them, they sounded really melodic. Even when I played the bass line and I altered the rhythm a little bit, because that's what we do when we play bass lines, they still sounded really tuneful. But I'm going to play them again now in a slightly different context. This time it's a busier track with much more rhythm, and there's more chords too. I think those lines sounded really good. The three notes G, A and B sounded really melodic, and I changed the rhythm of what I played there quite a lot to suit the mood of the track too. Don't forget everything that I played is in the PDF, so make sure you grab a copy of that. The first line that I played was this G, A, B, A, G. From this G I played an open E because the chord changes from G to E minor. From C I played C, D, E, and I finished on D because again the chord changes from C to D. So the chord progression was G, E minor, C and D. I even played a couple of those lines with slightly different fingerings. But now I'm going to play a variation of this, and I'm going to focus on the third of each chord. So I'm getting a little bit technical here. Now the third of G is B, the third of C is E, and the third is a really strong sounding note. It determines the quality of the chord, and it's the perfect note to use to outline the sound of a chord. It's very melodic and it sounds very sweet too. Starting with G, I'm going to play this in a different place. Now it's C. C again. I'm going to play a variation on this line. So it's a little bit busier, but it still ends on the third. C, and again. Now I'm going to play them as part of bass lines. I played two variations of that line. The first was this. So I played G the root, B the third, D the fifth, and came back down to B the third. So I'm playing the root third and fifth. That's the major chord arpeggio. It's no wonder that sounded good. The second variation was this. So again, I'm starting on the root note G and I'm finishing on the third B, but in between the line came from this major pentatonic scale pattern. So I started with G, then I jumped to E at the 9th fret of the G string, D at the 7th, back to E, and finished on B the third. When I played this line as part of the bass line, I felt like I really had to move on from the third. Sometimes when you linger on the third in a bass line, it can sound like it's suspended and it's hanging there. So every time I played it, I played an answering phrase that led back into the root note. Very subtle, but it worked for me. This time I'm going to play a variation on this line, and everything that I play is going to start on the third of the chord. This is G and C. Again, back to G, and again, and C again, now a bass line. That was very similar to the previous line that I played. I started off on B the third, then D the fifth, then I played A, and I pulled off onto G the root note. And when I used that line as part of the bass line, in fact, when I've played every single bass line so far, I'm always starting on the root note because that helps to establish the sound of the chord. And throughout this bass line, I played lots of different rhythms and lots of fills too, but they're all in the PDF. So I've played the root note so far, I've used the third too, but now I'm going to use the fifth. This is G and C. It's part of a bass line. Variation on that line, so a little bit simpler rhythmically, and C, and the bass line. The fifth's not usually considered to be the strongest note in a chord, nor is it the most melodic, but I think both of those lines sounded really nice. The first was this. So I started on D, the fifth of G, then it was E, then I played B, A and G. They're the first three notes that I played in the very first example of this lesson. The second was a slight variation on that. This time I just used D, B, A and G, and I played those lines in two different ways using two different fingerings. The first using this major pentatonic shape, the second using this. But now we've exhausted all the possibilities of notes in the chord, root, third and fifth. So what's left? Well, using the major pentatonic scale, there are a couple of note choices. The first is the second, which is A. So if I play G, the second of G is A. Now, that note can sound a little bit suspended, but if we move it one note down, it resolves to G, the root note. If we move it one note up, it resolves to B, the third. And similarly, the sixth E. So again, that's a nice sound, but it can sound like it's suspended and hanging a little bit. So we're going to resolve that down to D, the fifth, and also up to G, the root. And I think if we do that, both of these notes are going to sound really sweet. So this is the second of G resolving down and up. And now C. And up. Now G in a different register. C. Now it's the sixth of G. Resolving down, now resolving up. And C. And again G. Different register in C. I know I've only looked at major chords in this lesson, but you can use the same approach to play over minor chords too. This is a great technique that you can use anywhere and in any style of music, so try it out because it can have a huge impact on the sound of what you play on bass. I really do hope that you've enjoyed this lesson. If you have, give me a shout out and let me know in the comments. Make sure you grab the PDF too. The link to that is posted below. Thanks for joining me. Look forward to seeing you again, and in the meantime, happy practicing.